Hey everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. Today, I'm just making a little video to encourage you and let you know just how easy homeschooling can be. If you like this video, please remember to click thumbs up, hit subscribe, and the notification bell next to it. Check it out. Today I had an interesting experience and it just made me think of all of you who are new to homeschooling, and I just wanted to share some more of my thoughts because I know when you are just thrown into this world, it can be very intimidating because you have trusted the experts to educate your child, and now it's a little unnerving because you don't want to mess up, right? So my basic advice, the short version of this is focus, especially in the beginning, reading, writing, and math. Focus heavily on those things. Now, if you watch my other videos, I really do advocate for making a long-term educational plan, writing a list of everything you want your child to learn by the time you're done with them, and then seeing how many years you have to accomplish that and using that to make your year-by-year plan. Okay, but in the beginning, you can just focus on reading, writing, and math, and whatever else you do, whether it's very planned or not, can be kind of laid back, somewhat child-led, and it depends on your child. If your kid's a little lazy, it's not going to be as child-led because your kid should learn, but some kids are very inquisitive, and you can start to encourage us more and more. So I want to give you an example from today that made me think of this. So at the end of the school year, I had charter funds to use up, and I had, everyone's worried about not having charters. I had never not having charter funds, and I had never used a charter school until this last year. So really, it was hard for me to spend the money because I'm not used to spending all that money. I use my library. I live where there is a good library. I use it a lot, and everything else, I might spend a couple $100s a year. I mean, you can easily homeschool on a couple $100s a year. Not really including paper and ink, but other materials. So it was a challenge to figure out how to spend the money, but since the libraries were closed, they were totally closed for a while, what I ended up doing was buying a lot of books. So I bought a lot of books, and one of them was called Explorers Who Got Lost. It might be, I might have got that as part of the Moving Beyond the Page curriculum. So I think it is, which is funny. So I use these curriculums as inspiration. I don't follow them to the letter, and you don't have to. You can, but you don't have to, okay? So let me just tell you. So it's summertime, number one. I want to teach my kids that curiosity about the world and learning does not stop for 2 to 3 months in the year. That's a big reason why we still do school in the summer, and why, but it is more relaxed. It is more child-led, but not completely. So for example, my daughter did not just bring this book to me this morning. I told her, hey, let's read that book. I'll read some of it to you. So another thing is I have a book list going for both of my kids at any given time. There's 10 books. It's a mix of science, history books, good literature, and it's enough to challenge them. So my goal is to mix all of those things and to challenge them but not overwhelm them with the book list, and then they get a little prize. My son just finished it and I got him a boba. If you are not familiar with what a boba is, just look up B-O-V-A and you will find a very weird drink, which my children love. So that was a little prize that he got. Not even I don't think you should make it a big prize. This is not, because if you do too much incentives, you can actually de-incentivize, I'm saying this, the natural desire to want to do something. So be careful with incentivizing stuff. Use a little fine line. But anyway, that's what I do. So this book, Explorers Who Got Lost, is on my daughter's reading list. I said, let's work on your reading list. You've kind of been ignoring it for the last couple of weeks. Let's work on it. So I read like half a chapter to her, okay? And it was interesting. It's setting up the age of exploration and Henry the Navigator, and what's cool about homeschool, can be cool, is for us, I do not feel the need to use a history curriculum. I do have them read books on historical topics regularly, weekly, And not necessarily once a week. It's on their reading list. It's a part of their life on a regular basis all year. And I guarantee my kids are going to have a better knowledge of history than if I tried to follow a curriculum that cannot help but be boring because it's not what they want to learn at that time. So, going back to my example, my daughter did not want to read this book, but we were cuddling together. It was cozy. I was reading it to her, and we would stop and talk. Why? Because I'm not on a schedule. This is really important. I find it concerning when we're too worried about being on a schedule. Because what happens is curiosity dies on a schedule. Because all that you're worried about doing is completing things, about memorizing isolated facts. And curiosity dies. It easily dies. I don't know that it always dies, but it very, very easily dies on a schedule. And so we would stop. For example, they mentioned latitude, and I literally got my phone out and we had a brief discussion about latitude and longitude. And I explained to her how it's like when you play Battleship. It's the same thing. It's how the ships would figure out where they were and where they wanted to go. It was one of the tools that sailors used. It was an area of knowledge that most people had actually during that time to one extent or another. And then they talked about astrolabes and quadrants. And so we looked those up. And it was super interesting. And we looked up a video where a lady explained how to use an astrolabe, which is fascinating. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's the coolest thing ever. And what I'm just trying to express is, please take the time to nurture your kids' curiosity. Now, you might be able to do that and still follow the pace that your curriculum sets if you chose a curriculum for, say, history. Now, some curriculums cover all subjects. Some are just for each subject, like social studies or language arts. So if you are using a curriculum for social studies, you may be able to follow the pace that they set for you and still nurture your child's curiosity. But the most important thing is to nurture your child's curiosity, even if that comes at the expense of keeping up with a schedule. Because your child will learn far, far more if you are indulging their curiosity. But you can't micromanage what they learn. And that's the thing that schools try to do, and that charter schools, because they're schools and that's how they think, they're dealing with large numbers of kids. And I get it, I understand it, but it's not the ideal. And when you're in a home situation, you're closer to what's possible with an ideal situation. So it's not ideal to try to micromanage every bit of information that a child has stored in their head. And it's unrealistic. You're unlikely to actually get those children to learn what you are wanting them to learn. So, but if it's a little more child-driven, not necessarily completely. For example, my daughter did not want to read that book this morning, but if you stop and you have discussions and you answer questions and you look things up that you're curious about, your child is going to remember more for that period of time that you spent learning than if you just sort of did a mind-numbing curriculum that you just follow and you have to plow through because you have to finish it in a certain amount of time. Now, your curriculum may not always be mind-numbing, but sometimes it can't help but be, because you're not making time to feed curiosity and to look things up and to talk and to have discussions. So that was a lot to say. That I just hope that you will do your basics, your reading, your writing, your math, and do them well. Do them well. It means different things at different ages. So if you're not sure what that means, just get an accurate idea of where your child is at right now. It doesn't need to be scientific. You don't need to take a test. What can your kid do in math? Do they have trouble with division? Then that's where they're at right now. Work on that. All you have to do is start where your kids are right now. Are they atrocious spellers? Work on it. Can they not write a complete sentence with a subject and a predicate? Work on it. That's all you have to do. So I'm just going to end this video with one more thing. I, for a long time, felt like I need to accomplish this, accomplish that, accomplish this. And I still kind of want to do that. But I'm realizing that the focus on accomplishing a list of things during the day had a very negative result with my kids. It resulted in them wanting to plow through their work with no joy. And their top concern was getting done so they could play, because they're kids. I switched it and I said, we're going to work 4 solid hours a day. If you take a lunch break, you're going to mark it and keep track of that. If you take a bathroom break, if you want to take a 15-minute break to go kick the soccer ball in the backyard, you're going to keep track of that. So 4 actual hours of work we're going to do. And all of a sudden, there wasn't this manic rush to finish. And I feel like we are working into enjoying what we're doing a bit more. So I would just encourage you to take that approach. I really would. I mean, unless the other approach just works really well for your children and for you. But otherwise, I would really, really encourage you to say, I'm going to work maybe for a little kid, a kindergartner, an hour a day, if that. Maybe for an 8th or 9th grader, maybe 5 or 6 hours. And it depends on their personality. You have to start where a person is in their abilities and also their attention span and their ability to really stick with academic pursuits for a length of time. Don't be unrealistic. So just sit down with them and say, so for our kids it's 4 hours a day, and say, we're going to work and we're going to do stuff and we're going to try to make progress in these areas. You know, maybe think about it on Sunday. Hey, here's what I'm going to try to get to this week, and try to get to those things, and just sit down in a relaxed way and just make progress. Stop being hyper focused on where they should be and what are the standards. You cannot reasonably ask more from your children than to grow every day. So just start where they are, challenge them, but do not overwhelm them. Just ask them to grow. But if you're asking them to grow at a rate that they just can't grow, you're being unreasonable and you're being unkind. So this is a beautiful thing about homeschool. We have the flexibility to do this. That's about it for now. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was helpful. I would really like to hear what you have to say in the comments, so please let me know and let's keep the discussion going. If you like this video, please click thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.